YouTube viewers. Today we're going to be discussing the ins and outs of Neoregelias and some really simple ways and methods of managing them. Now the problem with Neoregelias is quite often when we buy them and they're in a pot and they're, you know, well displayed and they look lovely in a pot, and so we think that they actually should be grown in a pot. But if you can see this particular variety here that I'm showing you, can you see the stolons on it, or the stems? And then these plants are not actually growing in any potting medium at all. So this particular little Neoregelia is ideal to be hung up on a tree, in which case that's exactly what I'm doing. I've been hanging them up around the property in trees, and it's very simple to do by adding some plant tie to around the tree, and then you just simply dot your little stems of your Neoregelia into them, and we've shown you that in the past. Another way is to create little pockets for them. You can do that using either the basket fibre that you can buy at nurseries or garden centres. You can use this to wrap around the base of a Neoregelia cup when you cut it off. And to that then you can add a little bit of potting mix if you want to, as a bit of a medium for it to establish its roots, and then you can secure that onto a tree as well, or onto a wall, or whatever you're wishing to use. Another option is cocoa peat fibre that you get in a flat roll, and this particular cocoa peat fibre that I slice it up into very easy to manage sections. They're about 25 centimeters long, and then when they're folded up they make a cute little pouch to hold the Neoregelias in, and that's what we're going to do today, because I have a little mini Neoregelia here called Tar Baby, who is forever falling out of its pot. It's all grown on stolons, and so therefore it doesn't require planting in medium like a pot, for example. And so this one, instead of putting it in a pot, and I have some in pots, these I want to put up into trees. And so what I'm going to do is very simply, and I've shown you these in the past. Now this is the plant tie. You buy this in little balls from Bunnings, for example. So we're going to get some of these. They're about 20 centimeters length. So I've already got some of them pre-cut, ready to go. And I'm just going to move this fibre out of the way. And I have my piece of cocoa peat here. Now what I'm going to do is simply add a little bit of potting mix into the middle as a medium for the roots to slowly attach to over time. And that's just my normal potting medium that I use. Nothing special about that. It's a 50% mix of fine bark as well as some sand, and on top of that either use potting mix if you're doing it with potting mix, or if you're going to a landscape supplier you can get some composted bark. To that I'm simply going to select my Neoregelias that I'm wanting to put in the pot. I'm going to remove all of the lower leaves just because we don't need them. You can see a little one growing off to the side again. I'm just going to pop them into their little baskets, laying them all so that their tops are above the height of the basket. And I want a fairly full basket, so I'm going to be putting in a couple of potfuls of these that are just falling off in the greenhouse. Each time I walk past they fall out of their pots, so instead of popping them back into pots once again, which they're pretty much falling out of anyway, it's just easier to do it this way. Now any stolons that you're wanting to separate, so that's the root system on this one, and all of its stolons. There's an old mum in the middle that we don't want, so grabbing hold of mum and giving her a twist and removing her, that's the easiest method to get rid of her. You'll end up with 3 babies attached to the root system, which was from the mum. You can choose to keep that if you want, or you can simply remove that with a pair of secateurs, as I've just done, because I actually don't want those old roots. Now I'm just going to simply pop this into its little package such as that, and I'm just going to now tie that together, and then it's ready to be hung up in a tree. Now a lot of the Neoregelias are epiphytes, meaning that they don't require any kind of being put into a pot, for example, as long as they've got some kind of medium that they can be attached to, whether that be in the branch of a tree where it gets debris whether it be somewhere that it gets nice and well secured so that it is still getting plenty of water, good sunlight, lots of airflow, and it's able to attach itself to the tree that you're using. Then you don't need to worry about putting them into pots or anything like that. Even the large Neoregelias, and I'll do some of those in a moment, even the larger Neoregelias, like I said, if you cut a pup off and you're not wanting to put it in a pot for whatever reason, whether you're running out of space in your garden or because you're starting to grow vertically, as I am on this property, we have a lot of plants growing up into trees with staghorns and elkhorns and tillandsias, and that's exactly what's going to happen with this one. It's going to go into a tree, and it's going to be then decorated with some other medium light Eucinoides or grandfather's beard or Spanish moss, and some other tillandsias as well. There we have the finished product, which has been bound, and these are my tar babies, and like I said, they're about to go into a tree. And so that's one method of how to manage the Neoregelias that are grown on stolons, and in which case they don't need to go into a pot. Now there's some other Neoregelias here that I have. Again, well and truly have outgrown their pots. They're completely living in the air. Again, on stolons and not growing in their pots at all. So these are another one that could very easily be grown in on a tree that either has got some mix around its base as well, or even just simply attached to a branch or an open area through those with those stolons. So an easy method for those to be simply snipped away. Another way is hanging baskets. It's a good use of a lot of big hanging baskets as well, in a large display of those, which are punctissima.